Hello and welcome back to Pop Culture Graveyard. I am Hollis, and this week I'm going to pay tribute to the beautiful, legendary, badass Debbie Harry. I hope you all had a great 4th of July. My wife and I had a party in our new apartment since we're right on the East River, where the Macy's fireworks emanate from. Great party. Apologies to you all because my voice is shot from talking all night. I do not drink, yet somehow I woke up with a sore throat and feeling very hungover. I assume this is just middle age. Anyway, at the party last night, I discovered people really enjoyed going through my Blondie 12-inch collection, and so I thought that I would show you some of these records up close, as well as a solo Debbie Harry album that I think is wildly underrated. Since Debbie Harry had a birthday a few days ago, I thought it would be only fitting to pay tribute to one of the greatest singers the NYC punk scene ever produced, Debbie Harry. Honey, can I please get a lozenge? Get out of here with that butterscotch. Before we get started, I just want to thank my latest patron. Thank you, Jim. I'm very grateful you hopped on board. And I'm going to have to come and visit you one of these days in Bali. Gravediggers are worldwide. If you're enjoying the content I'm bringing you from week to week, please consider joining my Patreon. It's at patreon.com/popculturegraveyard. And thanks. Before we get started, very quickly, I'm going to give you my thoughts on Blondie. I feel Blondie are the most underrated band to come out of the original NYC punk scene of the mid to late 70s, centered around CBGBs. In their early days, they had to play in the shadow of more successful bands, such as the Patti Smith Group, the Ramones, and Television, where they suffered the indignities of poached members and bad word of mouth. And later, when their records were far outselling albums by those bands, they had to put up with erroneous cries of sellout, or even worse at the time, that they'd gone disco. Point of fact, Blondie never made any secret of their wide spectrum of influences. From girl groups to hard rock to reggae to funk, Blondie had a true knack for synthesizing all of those influences into their own sound that I think a lot of other groups were envious of. Aside from great musicianship, and they definitely had that, they were blessed with one of the greatest front persons in all of music, Debbie Harry. Debbie was a bit older than most of the punks at the time, and had already been through an awful lot in her life, so she had zero fucks to give. And her amazing voice, coupled with her take-no-prisoners attitude, along with her iconic looks, helped separate Blondie from the pack, and finally gave them the success that they so richly deserved. Please join me at the dining room table, where I can show you these records up close, and I won't have to talk quite so loudly. Up first, Blondie, Rip Her to Shreds, also featuring In the Flesh and Ex-Offender. This is a British release, as you can tell from the 3 tracks for 75p pricing. All of these tracks are from the band's debut release, Blondie, produced by Richard Gotterer. Both Rip Her to Shreds and In the Flesh were written by Chris Stein and Debbie Harry. Ex-Offender was written by their bass player Gary Ballantyne and Debbie Harry. The back features this fantastic shot of the band dressed in the height of NYC punk cool. I really like having the Blondie fan club address, P.O. Box 5130. This album was imported to the US through Gem Records. The Gem Records sticker used to be ubiquitous with so many cool imports. Gem Records didn't only import really cool British bands like the Buzzcocks, but they also imported, obviously, a lot of really cool British releases by American bands. This was at 45 RPM, and I really loved the green chrysalis label. Rip Her to Shreds, In the Flesh, and Ex-Offender are 3 of my all-time favorite Blondie songs. So you know I love this release. The coolest part of Blondie 12-inch releases is that they had the best cover model in the band already. And Debbie had so many different iconic looks and attitudes that she could give you. Right here, she is cool and defiant, and it absolutely works, given the A-side, Rip Her to Shreds. This lady could and would rip you to shreds. Up next, another early Blondie 12-inch release. This features Denis, Contact in Red Square, and Kung Fu Girls. Denis is of course a cover. The original song was called Denise and sung by a male singer. It was a top 10 hit on the Billboard charts back in 1963 by the American doo-wop group Randy and the Rainbows. Here Debbie changes Denise into Denis, and it works. This hit number 2 on the UK singles charts in 1978, and look how amazing Debbie Harry looks in this spotted outfit. I have a very quick question. Who wore it better, Debbie Harry or Mark Bolan? Trick question, they both look amazing. All three of these songs were also produced by Richard Gottehrer. Contact in Red Square is a great song that's written by Jimmy Destri, the band's keyboardist. Kung Fu Girls was written by Debbie with Gary Valentine and Jimmy Destri. So this is a really interesting collection of songs here, and I absolutely love this release. As you can see, the back cover is also awesome. They only had 2 albums out at the time, but it repurposes the photo shoot that they took from the last 12-inch with Debbie in her way past knee-high boots. And again, this is a British release, and they have the fan club info for all those interested Brits. This album, though, has the blue chrysalis labels that you are all used to. And again, it's at 45 RPM. Up next, another British release. This one featuring the A-side of Sunday Girl, and the B-sides are Sunday Girl, sung in French, and I Know But I Don't Know. Sunday Girl, for my money, is one of the greatest songs Chris Stein ever wrote. It sounds gorgeous, and it's got this lovely girl group pop sheen to it. It was expertly recorded by the wonderful Mike Chapman, Commander Chapman if you're nasty, and it is a highlight on an album of highlights, Parallel Lines. The French version is, if possible, even more beautiful than the original, simply because the French language is more beautiful than the English language. The third song is very interesting because it was written by the second guitarist, Frank the Freak Infante, and it is also on the album Parallel Lines. It's a mid-tempo dirge with lyrics that even the Stooges would be proud of. I know, but I don't care. Then I know, but I don't see. Now I see, but I don't know. I care, but I don't care. Damn straight, Frank. Those lyrics may not look like much on the page, but they come alive when Debbie sings them. The back cover features all of the Blondie releases up to that time, Parallel Lines being the latest, and I really love that shot of the band on the beach. They look like the last gang waiting for their turn to fight the Warriors on their home turf of Coney Island, and I wouldn't want to mess with them while they were a 6-piece. This release has the blue chrysalis labels and is at 45 RPM. Up next, another 12-inch release of Sunday Girl. This one is from Holland, and the A-side features the French version of Sunday Girl, and the B-side is the English version of Sunday Girl. I just love this design in black and white. Debbie looks gorgeous as usual without even trying. Her hair has the 2 tones going, the blonde and the brunette, which plays beautifully with the black and white and dark gray color scheme. With that face, you don't really need color. Her beauty is doing all the heavy lifting here. I love these bubblicious letters with the little shine on them. The back cover is fairly bare bones and features Debbie on stage looking fabulous, and it lists the 3 Blondie albums out at that time. This again features the chrysalis labels you know and love, and it is 45 RPM, though it does not say so on the label. Up next, another British release, this one in black and white, I'm Always Touched by Your Presence, Dear, with the B-sides Poet's Problem and Detroit 442. The cover obviously shows Debbie in extreme close-up. No matter how far or close you get to her, she remains stunning, and it features one of my all-time favorite Blondie songs, I'm Always Touched by Your Presence, Dear. It's a phenomenal track featuring elements of girl group sounds and the delicious dollop of power pop. The B-side Poet's Problem was written by keyboardist Jimmy Destri, and Detroit 442 was written by Jimmy Destri and Chris Stein. I'm Always Touched by Your Presence, Dear, and Detroit 442 are songs off of Plastic Letters, the band's second album, whereas Poet's Problem is an outtake from that album. Poet's Problem is actually my favorite Blondie song written by Jimmy Destri. I think it's his best work. It's got this beautiful, almost haunting piano sound, and Debbie's vocals are gorgeous. Clem Burke's drumming is amazing. The entire band's performance on that song is just arresting. So I will link to Poet's Problem below, in addition to several songs I'm showing you, because I really think it deserves to be heard. Here's the fun back cover of the band at the time, holding up all the letters in Blondie. They of course only had 2 albums out at the time. This was promoting their Plastic Letters album. So the British really put out some cool 12 inches. And this features the blue chrysalis labels that you all know and love. Up next, Atomic. This is another British release. This features Debbie looking golden and beautiful, and directly behind her is a mushroom cloud. I think they want us to believe that the atomic explosion was caused by her sex appeal, and I do not doubt it. If you can make out on the price tag, I paid $3 for this, maybe about 10 years ago. Those prices have gone up. And it is from 1980, promoting the album Eat to the Beat. It features a really cool collection of headshots of all of the band members, each assigned their own color. Atomic has wonderfully big production, as befitting its title. It's backed with Die Young, Stay Pretty, which is a really fun, quirky song, and a live version of Heroes, the David Bowie classic, which was recorded live at the Hammersmith Odeon on January 12th, 1980, featuring the master guitarist Robert Fripp. Atomic was written by Debbie Harry and Jimmy Destry, whereas Die Young, Stay Pretty was written by Debbie Harry and Chris Stein. Heroes, of course, was written by David Bowie. Up next, this is a West German release. Good luck finding an East German release. It is a 12-inch for The Tide is High. The Tide is High took over my life in 1980. It was my favorite song for quite a while. I didn't even know at that point that it was a cover song, originally made famous back in '67 by the Paragons, this fantastic Jamaican vocal group. It was later covered by Gregory Isaacs in 1978. Perhaps that's the version the band heard and made them want to cover it, but their 1980 version is just sweet, swinging reggae, and I love the throwback ska horns they use on it. Susie and Jeffrey is a fun B-side, co-written by Debbie Harry and Nigel Harrison, the bass player. I talked about this 12-inch in my latest Vinyl Finds episode last month, which can be found on my Patreon, and it has the Sounds sticker from back when it was released. Sounds was a record store I absolutely adored back in the old days of hunting for vinyl in NYC. It was this great store on St. Mark's and is not there anymore, a distinction it shares with far too many of my old haunts. But anyway, I love this Super Sound single. The back features pretty much exactly the same art as the front. Those Germans are pretty austere folks, and they don't like a lot of bells and whistles, so you're getting the same thing on the back. The picture of Debbie on the front and back is a blow-up of a cropped pic from their Auto American album, from which the song is culled. There she is. You can see her in close-up, and it features the iconic chrysalis label. And finally, I just want to talk about what I feel is a very underrated LP, Debbie Harry's debut LP, Cuckoo. For the rest of this week's episode, please join my Patreon at patreon.com/popculturegraveyard, or click above for more free content.